What other festivals are there in China?
There is Lantern Festival, Dragon Boat Festival, and Mid-Autumn Festival, etc.
Is there a difference between the ways that people celebrate the festivals in the past and at present in China?
Sure, the living standard in China is higher, and some families go out to have a party in restaurants during the Spring Festival, which was very unusual in the past.
Do you think it is important to maintain traditional festivals? Well, I think so, because traditional festivals are important. Those represent the long history of a nation and the development of a different culture in China. There's an increasing number of people are crazy about Western festivals like Christmas and some other sorts of festivals. And more importantly, some traditional festivals are more likely to be ignored by young people because they prefer to spend time on modern and Western festivals. The traditional festivals possibly are old-fashioned in their mind, but to a large extent, people should be encouraged to embrace more traditional festivals than used to be. And it is more of a way of maintaining the traditional festivals for a nation as well. So I think it is important to maintain traditional festivals. So that's it.
How do people celebrate birthday in your culture? Well, people often have a party and it depends on the age of the person. As for children, they have some friends to join them at home, and older people prefer a meal at a restaurant. Of course, a birthday cake is traditional, with the number of candles equal to the age of the birthday boy or girl. Many adults don't like to be reminded of this though.
An increasing number of people in their 20s and early 30s seems to be celebrating Western festivals and losing interest in traditional Chinese festivals. They are doing so perhaps because they find it difficult to spend Chinese holidays in a traditional way. For example, many people complain that the Dragon Boat Festival is only about rice dumplings, and hence they prefer celebrating festivals like Father's Day instead. Youth are becoming interested in Western festivals such as Father's Day and Mother's Day, especially because they give them the chance to show their love for their parents.
So which birthdays have special significance in China? Well, so to be honest, those birthdays that quite of meaningful or outstanding would transcend or to reflect some of the unique moments in one's life. Like the birthday of the 1-year-old, it would officially represent one person could maybe just have a healthy life here in China. So usually during that day, parents would throw a big party to just share that happiness with others. Besides the 18th birthday, also quite of memorable. It's the date which tells others officially turns into adulthood. Another special date I could think of would be the 60s. Here, it's kind of big deal for that is the phrase one individual they finally begins their later stage of their life. They could just the main purpose transferred from fighting for his own dream to maybe to enjoy about the quality life with families. Well, so those are the birthdays I could think of. Do children and adults celebrate birthday in the same way? Well, so frankly, children, they are teenagers quite young and innocent. Most of the time, they would like to do something really quite of naive, like maybe go to KFC or McDonald's. However, on the other hand, adults, since they're more experienced and they have, realized those just some of the gimmick or something quite of a fake in the business world. So most of the time, maybe just quietly stay at home with their family members for a little bit of the big dinners, and that is all. Whether for the cost and places that they go would also be quite of different as well, and also the meanings, I guess, between those two group of people would also quite of distinguishing. For children, maybe there's still food of interest on this significant date, for they believe it's quite like stand for they officially turned another year older. But for adults, every other year that would be the signals that they're growing older. Well, I guess for the eagerness to have birthday would also be different as well. Do people's attitude to birthday change as they get older? Well, just from my own understanding, right, when someone getting older, it will be quite terrifying to think of what age they are. For one, each other years that you closer, maybe getting older, it's one steps of closer to the end of your life. Yeah, so I guess it's individual. I mean, everyone would um, just facing a different stage towards or different understanding towards their own birthday, developing through their um, just through their maturity. Okay, how important is it for families to celebrate special events together? Well, so basically, family members, they are people who not only have a special, like, boundary on the genetically, they also are the just members support each others during the critical moments. So celebrate some of the happy events. It will be quite a good opportunity to improve the relationship, and that's a human nature to memorize things quite a positive. But therefore, for someone who lives so close to you, then celebrate the quite a joyful event together. That would be definitely a nice way to make the relationship or the family closer. Compare spending time with family and spending time with groups of friends on special occasion. Um, well, so just personally, friends, they are people who with the similar interest with me, and also sometimes most of my friends, their age also quite close to mine. Then when we spend times on some of the special events together, it would definitely easier for us to get along, and also, yeah, just easier, right? Maybe easier to come up with a lot of similar topics. Unlike with my families, right? Usually they just, either they're too old or too young. Since take my daughter for example, she can't even understand thoroughly on what I'm talking about. Well, therefore, I do prefer, right, much more prefer to spend time with my friends. Do you think that family celebrations will become less common in the future? Mm, well, so as I presume that in the future, the technology will definitely change a lot than as those people do in the Western country. Maybe the self-recognition or the self-dependency would lead to some of the gap, right? The gap between family members actually become much further, since maybe they would live in a different location due to the urbanization, or the location that they actually go to work would determines they would largely depends on some technology on communication. Well, so um, in this case, the relationship between them would actually become less intimate than we do now. What kind of national events are celebrated in your country? Um, well, so as far as I concerned, China is the country which quite of traditional. Most of those celebrations or the important events, they either reflect a part of Chinese culture or they have the significant meanings in the history. Well, like the Spring Festival, which is the traditional day, most of Chinese they would just run back home, just rush back to their clans to celebrate together. It's just a part of the Chinese value. Beside the tomb sweeping day, and also that would be quite a unique day. We pay respect to our ancestors through clean their just a cemetery. Yeah, clean the spot on the in the cemetery. So those are the days, yeah, exactly right. Those are the days that quite of worthy to celebrate in our history.
Okay, here we go with part 3 topic of festivals. Let's have a listen.
What other festivals are there in China?
Okay, if you're confused about why he's saying what other festivals there are in China, well, it's because in part 2 you would have spoken about a festival. So now they want to know about other festivals here in part 3.
There is Lantern Festival, Dragon Boat Festival.
Oh my goodness. Let's put some commas in here. Let's try that again. Whoa, no, there we go.
There is Lantern Festival, Dragon Boat Festival, and Mid-Autumn Festival, etc.
Again, in the speaking test, don't say etc., say and so on. Okay, so we've got 3 examples here. Is she going to expand on any of these? No, that's the whole answer. Oh my goodness. So let's look at the grammar. There's a single be verb. That's all. Okay, she does know the names of the festivals, but man, this is a horrible answer. Okay, if you give an answer like that, the examiner is not going to let it slide. They're going to ask you to expand on your answer.
Is there a difference between the ways that people celebrate the festivals in the past and
The festivals, why is there a the there? The way that people celebrate, is it celebrate or is it celebrated?
the ways that people celebrate the festivals in the past?
Oh my goodness. Okay, I don't know why this is in the present tense. And there really should also not be a the, because we're talking about festivals in general. So it should look something like this.
Is there a difference between the ways that people celebrate the festivals in the past and at present in China?
Sure, the living standard in China is higher, and some families go out to have a party in restaurants during the Spring Festival.
Have a party in restaurants. How can you have one party in different restaurants? That doesn't make sense. To have a party in a restaurant. But people don't usually go to a restaurant to have a party. People go to a restaurant to have a meal. Now you could say people go, or you could say some families go out to celebrate in restaurants, but have a party. That's not what they usually do there.
Party in restaurants during the Spring Festival.
I think I talked about Spring Festival before. I'm not sure there's a the, but I'm not Chinese. I'm not an expert on this. But people usually just say Spring Festival.
Which was very unusual in the past.
And is she going to talk about what they did in the past?
Still,
She's not. All right. So these questions asking you to contrast the past and the present. Say how it's done now, but also say what happened in the past. So in the past, what did people do for Spring Festival? She didn't even touch on that.
Very unusual in the past.
do you think it is important to maintain traditional festivals? Well, I think so, because traditional festivals are important.
Do you think it's important to maintain traditional festivals? Yes, because they're important. Kind of circular logic there. What?
Well, I think so, because traditional festivals are important. Those represent the long history of a nation and the development of a different culture in China.
Those represent the long history of a nation, so I don't know which nation, in the development of a different culture in China. The sentence does not make any sense to me. Which nation is he talking about? And the development of a different culture in China, is the Chinese culture not Chinese? What is this different culture he's talking about?
And the development of a different culture in China. You know, there's an increasingly number of people are
Number is not a verb, so it's not increasingly, it's an increasing. There's an increasing number of people who are crazy. Increasing number of people who are crazy. We need a relative pronoun there.
crazy about Western festivals like
It's Western, not Western. Western.
Christmas and some other sorts of festivals. And more importantly,
And more importantly, well, actually, if the second point is more important, that means the first point was important. But I don't understand what the first point is. The first point is there's an increasing number of people who are crazy about Western festivals. So, what's the question is it important to maintain traditional festivals? There's an increasing number of people who are crazy about Western festivals. So, how is that connected to the question? I would understand that if he said, oh, so people's adherence to these Western festivals threaten our traditional festivals, like Mid-Autumn Festival or whatever. But he doesn't say that. He just goes on to the next point. And more importantly, he doesn't tell us what the consequence of this is. So people are into Western festivals, so...
like Christmas and some other sorts of festivals. And more importantly, some traditional festivals are more likely to be ignored by young people because they prefer to spend time on modern and Western festivals.
But isn't this the same thing? He's saying the same thing twice now. Here. And more importantly is used to introduce a different point. This is the same point. There's no and more importantly, he's just saying the same thing twice.
You know, like the traditional festivals possibly are old-fashioned.
The word order is wrong. Traditional festivals, and there's no the here. Traditional festivals are possibly old-fashioned. Are possibly. The be verb goes before the adverb.
Their mind, but to a large extent, people should be encouraged to embrace more traditional festivals than used to be.
People should be encouraged to. So here the subject is people. So here then here's the verb used to be. So what's the subject? Then they used to be. People should be encouraged to embrace more traditional festivals than they used to be. Encouraged than they used to be. Why?
Embrace more traditional festivals than used to be. And it is more of a way of maintaining the traditional festivals for a nation as well.
What does the it refer to? It is a way, or is more of a way of maintaining the traditional festivals. What is a way of maintaining festivals? Encouraging people to celebrate festivals is a way of maintaining the traditional festivals. I guess, maybe. It's not clear to me though.
For a nation as well. So I think it is important to maintain traditional festivals. So that's it.
Alright, this answer didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Where are we now? There's some circular thinking here. There are some points that I think are just repetition. More repetition. Maybe more repetition. And there is referencing that's not clear. I don't know what the it refers to. Pretty incoherent stuff there.
How do people celebrate birthday in your culture?
Okay. First of all, this should be birthdays. Many people have many different birthdays. The ways his culture is so clipped. Okay, anyway, let's listen to the answer.
Well, people often have a party and it depends on...
Now I'm thinking he said often.
Well, people often have a...
It is often, it's not always. Not also. Often. Good grief. Alright, there we go. People often have a party. Okay.
Well, people often have a party and it depends on the age of the person.
Am I going crazy or does this not make sense either? People often have a party and it depends on the age of the person. What does the it mean? Is the it the party? Is the it the answer to the question? It's not clear to me.
It depends on the age of the person. As for children, they have some friends to join them at home.
Okay, there's a word there I couldn't hear. They something.
For children, they have some friends to join
Have, help, I don't know.
them at home.
Is he talking about the party now, or is he talking about how to celebrate their birthday? Okay.
And older people prefer a meal at a restaurant. Of course, a birthday cake is traditional, with the number of candles equal to the age of the birthday boy or girl.
Oh, what are these words here? What?
Of course, a birthday cake is traditional, with the number of candles.
I don't know. Okay, a birthday cake is traditional. Okay, with candles equal to the age of the birthday boy or... Did he say a girl?
Equal to the age of the birthday boy or girl.
Why is there an there's no So, with candles representing the age of the birthday boy or girl. No the candles represent the age. Let's go back to the question. How do people celebrate birthdays in your culture? Okay, so birthday cake is traditional. Okay, so he talked about I don't know, young children doing something, I don't know what, with their friends. Older people have a meal, and then he jumped to the birthday cake. Maybe he means children like enjoy birthday cakes at home, whereas older people, but he says meal, he doesn't say birthday cake. Okay, I don't know why he jumps from the kids to the older people at restaurants to the birthday cake. Nothing is developed. It just throws ideas out there.
A birthday boy or a girl. Many adults don't like to be reminded of this though.
As though. Again, this is not... People often have a party and it depends on the age of the person. Children do this. Older people prefer a meal at a restaurant. Okay, so maybe the birthday cake is for everybody. So then here, instead of course, he just said, well, everyone, or regardless of whether you stay at home or whether you go to a restaurant, everyone enjoys the traditional birthday cake with candles. Okay. So it doesn't matter whether you go, it doesn't matter whether you have some gathering at home or if you go to a restaurant, everyone enjoys a birthday cake. That I think would have made more sense than what I listened to there.
An increasing number of people in their 20s and early 30s seems to be celebrating Western festivals and losing interest in traditional Chinese festivals. They are doing so.
What is the question? Is there a question to this, or is this guy just talking? I guess he's just talking. Okay, I'm not sure what the question is.
Doing so perhaps because they find it difficult to spend Chinese holidays in a traditional way.
Okay, listen to this guy's pronunciation. You can hear that intonation, like up and down. Okay.
They're doing so perhaps because
they're doing so. They're doing so. A nice rhythm there.
They find it difficult to
and stress on difficult. They find it difficult.
And Chinese holidays in a traditional way. For example,
spend holidays. Celebrate, I think, is a better word than spend. They find it difficult to celebrate Chinese holidays in a traditional way. But let's focus on the pronunciation.
many people complain.
Many people. Stress on many people.
The Dragon Boat Festival is only about rice dumplings, and hence they prefer celebrating festivals like Father's Day instead.
And some stress on Father's Day instead. But if we look at the vocabulary and the grammar, it gets a bit strange. They find it difficult, so people complain that the Dragon Boat Festival... Did he say it or did he say is?
Complain that the Dragon Boat Festival is only about...
He said it's. Okay, so that's not right. But what he said isn't right either. So the Dragon Boat Festival is only about rice dumplings. Is, not it's. And then here, and hence, it's a nice phrase, but they prefer celebration festivals. What is a celebration festival?
and hence they prefer celebrating festivals like.
The adjective for celebration is celebratory. So they prefer celebratory festivals like Father's Day instead. It's not celebration festival, it's celebratory.
Father's Day instead. Youth are becoming interested in Western festivals such as.
Okay, and some slurred speech here on interested. And it's not youth, it's the youth. The youth. Now you can decide if you consider this to be one group or if you consider this to be individuals. So if you say the youth, it could be is, it could be are.
Father's Day and Mother's Day, especially because they give them the chance to show their love for their parents.
Okay, hang on a second. The youth are becoming interested in Western festivals, such as Father's Day and Mother's Day especially, because they give them the chance. Yeah, this last sentence, error-free. No errors there.
So which birthdays have special significance in China? Well, so to be honest.
Okay, well, so to be honest, take it easy with the markers. You don't want to overdo it with the discourse markers. Those birthdays.
To be honest, those birthdays that quite of.
It's this guy again. Okay, he has troubles with quite. Those birthdays that are quite. There's no of. I'm guessing the next word is an adjective. There we go. Meaningful. Yeah. There's no of. Those birthdays that are quite meaningful. For adjectives, there's no of. But we do need a be verb because it's an adjective. Those birthdays that are quite meaningful.
Meaningful or outstanding would.
It's not outstanding, it's outstanding, outstanding, outstanding. No, outstanding is not the right word. Particularly meaningful. So those birthdays which are particularly meaningful would.
Outstanding would transcend or to reflect some of the unique moment.
Okay, he's trying to use very complex vocabulary that he is not able to use correctly, like the word transcend. And transcend has no business being in this sentence. Okay, so the most meaningful birthdays are those ones that reflect some of the unique moments in one's life. That's okay, but forget about the transcend part. That's all right.
Unique moments.
Should be moments. Did you say moments?
Moments in one's life.
Oh, we did say moments. My mistake. Okay, now hit us with an example.
Moments in one's life, like the birthday of the 1-year-old.
Why not say your first birthday? Okay.
It would officially represent.
Can I remember, if you use a modal, you have to use a base verb. And represent is a verb, so there's no S there. It would officially represent.
One person could maybe just have a healthy life here in China.
I don't know why it's officially. Is this what the government says? I'm not sure. Officially is not the right word. So people commonly believe that it means that you can have a healthy life here in China. So it's a common belief that once you reach your first birthday, you will have a healthy life in China. That's what he's trying to say.
Could maybe just have a healthy life here in China. So usually during that day, parents would throw a big party.
Throw and party, these words go together very well. Instead of saying have, why not say throw?
To just share that happiness with others.
That makes sense. That's logical.
Besides the 18th birthday.
It's not 18, it's 18th. Remember here he said... No, actually he didn't. But it would be your first birthday. And this would also be your 18th birthday.
18th birthday, also quite...
Again, there's no be verb with the adjective. Is also quite. Again, no of. So your 18th birthday is also quite memorable.
of memorable.
Ooh, it's not memorable. Memorable. It's memorable. Memorable.
Memorable. It's the date which tells others officially turns into adulthood.
It's not a date. It's an age. It's the age at which you become an adult. If you really want to use the word adulthood, the verb is reach. So that's the birthday, or that's the age when people officially reach adulthood.
Another special date I could think of would be the 60s.
The 60s is not a day. The 60s is like a decade. So when you're in your 60s, it's between the age of 60 and 69. It's not a day. That's a whole decade. So it would be your 60th birthday.
Here, it's kind of big deal.
It's kind of a big deal.
That is
Because, or since, not for. It's a big deal since, that is the phase.
phrase.
I think it's phase, not phrase.
One individual, they finally begins their later stage of the
Notice all the pausing here between words. Like, finally, pause.
begins their later
Pause, stage, pause. Means he's thinking about what to say.
stage of their life. They could just, the main purpose transferred from fighting for his own dream to maybe to enjoy about the quality life with families. Well,
Okay, a couple of things here. They could just... Okay, so he starts here with they could just. He doesn't really finish the idea. After just, I would expect to see a verb. But we have they could just... The main purpose. Transfers from fighting for his own dream. What are we talking about now? What is this dream? This is not clear to me. Is he saying his main goal now is not fighting for his own dream anymore? Very difficult to understand. That may be too enjoyed. Now here we have a to, but we have ed, too enjoyed. Okay, so instead of fighting for their dream, now maybe in the later stages of life, they can enjoy their retirement with their family, singular family. I don't know if this quality means your retired life. I guess so. But family, not families.
families. Well, so those are the birthdays I could think of.
I've got to say, this answer is hard to follow. There's a lot of vocabulary used that I don't understand. A lot of ideas in his head I think make sense, but when he says them, they don't always make sense. And sometimes he speaks very slowly. Maybe not very slowly, but he speaks quite slowly, and there are all these pauses where he's thinking about what to say.
Do children and adults celebrate
Adults.
birthday in the same way?
Birthdays.
Well, so frankly,
Children. You don't need to use frankly when you say the children are young and innocent. Those are obvious things. Frankly is not used when you say obvious things. Frankly is used when you say things that are very honest and might hurt people's feelings. This is not one of those cases.
are teenagers quite young and
The children are not teenagers. These are not the same groups of people. And again, young is an adjective. There's no of. Young, though, is an adjective. And if you have a conjunction, and this is an adjective, this has also got to be an adjective. Innocence is a noun. You can't say young and innocence. It's young and innocent. Okay, so he's telling us, the question is, do children, adults celebrate birthdays the same way? And he starts by telling us that children are young. Of course, children are young. That's why we call them children.
The children, they are teenagers, quite young and innocent. Most of the time, they would like to
Most of the time.
something really quite of naive, like maybe go to KFC or McDonald's.
Why is going to KFC or McDonald's naive? Again, this person is using the wrong vocabulary. Most of the time, I don't know why there's a modal would here. Why don't you say most of the time they like to do something like go to KFC or McDonald's? This is fine if you say that, but I don't know. When I go past KFC or McDonald's, I see tons of adults there. It's not only children who go there. So if you say something like this, the examiner is going to ask you, what about adults? Adults go there too.
Quite of naive, like maybe go to KFC or McDonald's. However, on the other hand,
Okay, so now we have however and on the other hand, two discourse markers showing contrast. Let's leave one of them out. You choose one, don't use them together.
however, on the other hand, adults, since they're more experienced and they have, realized those just some of the gimmick or some.
Okay, this word is gimmick, not gimmick. So adults are more experienced. They've realized that these are just gimmicks, not of the. No. Just these are gimmicks. I don't know what the these are means. Does he mean that KFC as a whole is a gimmick? Because a gimmick is kind of like a cheap trick. I don't think KFC is a cheap trick. I think it's a real restaurant. They're not trying to trick you.
Realized those just some of the gimmick or something quite of a fake in the business world.
I don't know if this is affecting or if it's fake. I'm not sure what the word is here.
Most of the time, maybe just quite.
Most of the time. They. Maybe. Just quietly said. Okay. So most of the time, lots of problems with prepositions and lots of problems with articles. Most of the time, we need a subject here for the verb.
Please stay at home with their family members.
Now this is correct. Family members. Okay. Families, no.
For a little bit of the big dinners.
But then we have a little bit of the big dinners. When I hear him say things like this, I think he should get a 5 for vocabulary. A little bit of the big dinners. I don't know what that means. Does it mean they eat a little bit of a big dinner? What is he saying here?
Dinners, that is all. Whether for the cost and places that they go would also be quite different as well.
Again, this is an adjective. There's no preposition there. Prepositions go with nouns, not with adjectives. Courses and places. I don't know what he's talking about here. Is he talking about courses in a restaurant and places? Are they restaurants?
And also the meanings, I guess, between those two those two group of people would also quite of distinguishing.
Okay, I'm not going to talk about the quiet again because he keeps on making the same mistake. But what is he saying? The meaning between the two groups is really distinct. I think the adjective he's looking for is distinct, because if there are two things that are very clearly and very obviously different, then the differences are distinct, not distinguishing.
For children, maybe there's still food of interest
Okay, it's children.
on this significant date, for they believe it's quite like.
They're still full of interest on this significant date. Now, grammatically, I don't think there's anything wrong with this, but I don't know. It's not right. It's not right. The grammar isn't. There's nothing wrong with the grammar or the vocabulary, but when you put everything together, they're still full of interest. It's very unusual.
Stand for. They officially turned another year older. What?
Why is it officially? They've officially turned another year older. But the same is true for adults too. If you have a birthday, then you are 1 year older. Why is this just used when talking about children?
for adults, every other year. That
Every other year. Every other year means every second year. So every second year, they 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 grow older every second year. It's not every other year. It's every year. People have birthdays every year.
that would be the signals that they
That signifies that the birthday signifies that they are growing older. It's not a signal. It signifies.
growing older. Well, I guess for the eagerness to have birthday would also be different as well.
Okay, so the older you get, the less you look forward to having your birthday. That's what he thinks. I think what he's trying to say. People are less eager to celebrate birthdays once they get older.
Do people's attitude to birthday change as they get older?
That's what he just said, isn't it?
Well, just from my own understanding, right? When someone getting older,
Someone is getting older.
it will be quite terrifying to think of how, what age they are for one.
No, don't understand what he's saying. Who's terrified? It will be quite terrifying. It'll be quite terrifying to think what age they are. So when people are 50 years old, for example, they're terrified of being 50. I don't understand why. Why is he saying this?
Each other years that you close.
Again, he says each other year. What does this mean? Does this mean every second year? Each year that you closer. Closer is an adjective. Where is the be verb?
Closer, maybe getting older. It's one steps of closer to.
No, it's just one step closer. There's no of. Of does not go with adjectives. Of goes with nouns. So one step closer to the end of your life.
The end of your life. Yeah, so I guess it's individual. I mean,
But why does he say this? Because here he didn't say that it depends on the individual. He spoke very generally. When I listen to this, it sounds to me like he's talking about everybody in general. Then he says, I guess it's individual. That doesn't make sense.
yeah, so I guess it's individual. I mean, everyone would.
And then he says everyone. It's individual, everyone. These are very, very different ideas. You cannot just put these two ideas in one sentence after another. They're not connected at all.
Just
Face, not facing. Face.
facing a different stage.
There's no the. Different stages. Different stages.
Towards, or different understanding towards their own birthday, developing through their just through their maturity. Okay.
This person is too difficult to understand. Is this him as well?
How important?
Okay, I'm going to skip this because I cannot understand what he is saying. It's too hard to follow. Is this still him?
Last comment.
Still him. Alright, I guess... Oh, I think this is someone else. Let's see here. Is this him also?
Rated in your.
Yep, that's him. Okay, I don't want to comment on the rest of this because this is too hard to understand. So, this is an example of what not to do in your speaking test. I just can't listen to this person anymore, sorry.